taking Lion and the Jewel, written by Wole Soyinka, Nobel laureate, as we dwell on how he really emphasized on African society and we embracing modernity. In this playtext, we saw Wole Soyinka exploring African system and ways of life and bringing it, infusing it with the modern life by using different characters like Baroka, who stands as the village tradition, Sidi, the belly of the village, the most beautiful girl in the village, Lakunle, the school teacher, who represents modernity, and Sadikun, the eldest wife of Baroka, the custodian of tradition in the playtext Lion and the Jewel. Wole Soyinka, take with the background, start with the background story of the playwright Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka, a Nobel laureate. He was born in early 40s. His play text, Lion and the Jewel, was written in 1986. He has 30 drama texts published. He published Lion and the Jewel in 1963. The play plot account, the play text started in Ilujinle, a village in one of the western states with flourishing tradition, customs, a village where they never believed in modernity. Because why? The ballet had its own motive or its ideas of not giving them exposure. Exposure. The setting of the play text. There are two specific places used in the play text, the village arena and the ballet's bedroom. The setting is Ilujile, a typical village setting. Modernity is threatened to overrun Ilujile, the physical setting of the market. It stands firmly, the Odan tree, the setting of time, morning and night, each represent different shapes of life. In the play text, we saw Lakunle, who has gone to the city to study the white man magic, as they said, and Sidi, who has been the village belly. She's the most beautiful lady in the village. She believes she has all it takes to be. And Lakunle is trying to lure Sidi to be his wife. And he said what? He said, but one thing, he said he will not pay the bride price. And she felt very cheap. Instead of being not being paid, my bride price not being paid, what is the need? And at that tail end, you see Lakunle saying he wants to bring in modernity into the village, which is not easily or far-fetched. He said he wants to bring in where they'll be going to the stream, he'll bring in tap, boreholes, where they'll be eating with saucer plates instead of them using all these old cutleries. He now had idea of saying he believes that modernity should be something, and that is why he said paying the bride price of CD is what is an aberration. He said it's barbaric and primitive just because he has gone to the city to school. He said it will not be on culture. He said it's not called for. He said it should be barbaric if you are paying the bride price of a lady. And CD sees it as an abuse and an aberration. Yeah, we see Lakule bringing in different types of modernity into foreplay. But at the tail end, Lakule lost what he treasured most or what he treasured most. We saw CD falling a victim to the lion, Baruka, the village head. And in the playtext, we saw when Lakule was trying to lure CD, we saw the aspect of CD name being published in a magazine, and he saw herself being an epitome of discussion. You know what? Pride came over her. She believes she has everything it takes to do anything. He said, what? Her name, her beauty, her name was published in a magazine, and her picture standing like an ovation. He was later informed by her friends, and that got into the head. And he said, what? He said, I will move forward. He said, now I know I have a certain goal. If I don't achieve that, no man will value me more than that. And that's how Lakunle lost CD through the law or the gimmick or plan scheme by Baroka, the ballet of the land, through the wife Sadiku. We saw in these characters, we saw different characters in the playtext, but we are majoring on the four major characters. Lakunle, who is a school teacher, a 23 years old man, who is a school teacher, represent modernity. Sidi, the village belly, the epitome of beauty, and Baroka, who represent tradition and ballet, of the Ilujile, and Sadiku, the eldest wife of the Bale. In those play test, we saw when CD was informed about the picture, the thing got into her head. And what? Baroka said, wow, why should this lady got the limelight instead of me? Because if you check, Baroka as a scheming and cunning man, when they brought in civilization, like in form of a railway being built in illegally, he rejected it. He bribed them not to do such. He said because he doesn't want his people to have this exposure. At the tail end, the thing was taken from the community to another place. And there, Lakunle hated him for this. And Lakunle, being the representation of modernity, was angry. He said this is the opportunity for them to have exposure and for them to meet with the other world. We saw Sidi falling a victim to what? Baroka, when Sadikun was informed that the ballet has lost its potency and he was being mocked. So Sidi went to the ballet's house. Then he was having a wrestling contest with his friend and he lost that. Why? In that process, he now told the wife, Sadiku, because he knows she's a flippant, she talks a lot. He knows that he will spread the news. He now went as far as telling Sadiku that he has lost his potency. And Sadiku now went to inform Sidi. Sidi now went to his house to mock the ballet. Unknown to them, it was just a bit. And Sidi fell. When he went to the bedroom, he was raped. She was raped and she started crying. And then he met Lakule when he was crying. And Lakule said, what happened? He said, yes. He said the old lion, because Baruka stands as the lion, while Sidi represents the jewel. Sidi was the jewel in the play text because she was the beauty. And Baroka was the lion, represent the lion, and it stands for the tradition and the custodian of everything to that community in Ilijile. Sadikun flippantly told everything what happened, but it was just a bait for them to lure Sidi. At the tail end, Sidi was raped. When Sidi was raped, she lost her virginity. And Lakule said he's ready to marry Sidi even with the pregnancy. But Sidi cried. He said, instead of me going to you, I can never. Let me go back to the lion. She cried and left. When she left, she went there that evening. There was a feast where Midians were dancing. And Baroka, the lion, saw another beautiful lady who he believes is better than Sidi and went after the lady. We'll be talking of the theme in the play text. We see how the lion got the jewel. That was how Baroka lured Sidi into falling into the bait and she was raped. That was how the lion got the jewel in the theme of the first theme. The second theme talks about struggle between tradition and modernity. We saw tradition here being represented by Baroka and Sadiko, while modernity represented by Lakunle, the school teacher, who believes he is bringing his modernity to change the face of things in the village, Ilijile, but which is not perfect easily. And we saw the struggle between these two set of people, tradition and modernity, having a foreplay in this. The next theme we are checking is change. Change in sense of what? We saw change in a play being played by the playwright Wole Soyinka, bringing in modernity to infuse with tradition, and which later became a tussle. We saw Lakunle representing the modernity and the ballet representing tradition. He wanted this thing to work in hand with modernity, but at the tail end, it all crashed. He never had a chance to have that. The fourth thing we were talking about between youth and old age. Youth here stands for who? Sidi and Lakunle, the school teacher. Sidi is 17 and Lakunle is within that 23 years of age. While the ballet is the old age. The Baroka is within that 60s, while the wife is within that 60s because she was the inherited wife of the father. So if we check, we saw modernity and we see youth and adulthood and old age fighting pari passu in exchange for what? To take. But at the tail end, the old age had the opportunity because why? Baroka won everything he always went for. At the tail end, CD lost everything, the youthful age. That is why we brought in the night, the morning, and the noon. The night was for Baroka. The noon and the morning is for Lakunle and Sidi. At the tail end, we saw what really happened when they lost everything to Baroka. The last thing we'll be checking is between vanity and shrewdness. Vanity, all what Lakunle wanted came out to be what? Vanity. These are things that cannot be easily achieved because you cannot just come and change tradition just in a jiffy. These people have become used to, and they have, it's a cultural milieu. They are used to it and they are used to it. For you coming to change, bringing in modernity to take time. But you just believe you can use modernity just easily like that. And we saw the shrewdness. He became arrogant and pompous. He believes he has everything at his neck and corner. Because when he was informed about the bright light, he said it's primitive and barbaric, which is not supposed to be so. You must follow the modernity. You must follow the tradition. What is this tradition? The bride price must be paid. Today in African society, we see this working against us. Today you see many ladies, they will tell you they prefer to do the white wedding, abandoning the traditional marriage. But they forget that the traditional marriage is where the bride price has been paid. That's to show total surrender of the parent and their blessing to the husband. But there in Lion and the Jewel, we saw two things playwright Wole Soyinka tries to paint. We bring in modernity, which is represented by Lakunle, and we see tradition represented by Baroka. At the tail end, tradition took its place because tradition was something that they believed in, and it became something they worked on. At the tail end, we saw everything working for Baroka, and modernity lose its course because it was enforced into society just like that. Today, we see many of our people who goes out to abroad. You see them when they come back, you see them they want to eat swallow, you see them using cutleries, which is not so. The swallow is meant by you using your hand. Not because what modernity has brought all these things. Today you see many people changing their name. So they want to bear the foreign names, they want to bear modern names. They leave the name, the traditional names being given to them. Today, if you see our ladies going to school, when they are coming back, they are coming with new names. Wole Soyinka tries to paint two things there. Modernity has come to stay, but it should be inculcated little by little, not by force. So here we saw Lakule trying to force modernity into the tradition, which never worked out.